A presentation on business ethics. So, what are business ethics and why do they matter? Business ethics is the study of appropriate business policies and practices regarding potentially controversial subjects, including corporate governance, insider trading, bribery, discrimination, corporate responsibility, and fiduciary responsibilities. Now, the law might guide or govern business ethics, but oftentimes your personal moral leanings will decide your personal ethics. But in addition to that, you will likely be asked to follow a certain system of business ethics by whatever business that you are employed at. It's important to acknowledge that ethical questions are often debatable, and what may be perfectly acceptable to one person is absolutely unthinkable to another. So let's start by exploring different philosophies. We can look at this through different schools of ethics. And today we'll be looking at some of the most popular schools of thought, including utilitarianism, Machiavellianism, and deontology. First, utilitarianism. Utilitarianism is one of the most popular systems of ethics there are. It is defined as the doctrine that actions are right if they are useful or for the benefit of the majority. Or, in more plain terms, the choice that is right is the choice that produces the greatest amount of happiness for the greatest number of people. Utilitarianism has been heavily criticized for the fact that it would make murder a just choice should it make the majority happy. And its ponderers are often faced with the above scenario. Would you change the course of a speeding train, directly causing the death of another, if it were to save 5 other people? The utilitarian school of thought says, yes, you should. The question is, can you live with it? Machiavellianism is another popular system of ethics. It is defined as the view that the world is amoral and therefore that any means, however unscrupulous, is justifiably used in achieving power. It is named after Niccolo Machiavelli, who was at the time living under a corrupt Italian government and therefore using any means to achieve his ends. He was originally in the world of political philosophy, and so long as your final intentions were good, it didn't matter what it took for you to get there. Essentially, the ends justify the means is the heart of this philosophy. Obviously, this school has been under intense criticism over the centuries, even going so far as to place Machiavellianism in the dark triad, the 3 traits that psychiatrists use to label someone as extremely dangerous. Lastly, but of course not least, we have deontology, our final school of ethics. It is often referred to as duty-based ethics. It can often be defined as the normative ethical theory that the morality of an action should be based on whether that action itself is right or wrong under a series of rules, rather than based on the consequences of the action. Essentially, in order for a decision to be good and right, you must be acting from duty and following the following, according to the prominent deontologist Immanuel Kant. Act in a way that you believe all others must, always treat humanity as an end, never as a means, and every rational being must act as though his decisions were to become the law of the universe. This is likely the system of ethics you'll be asked to follow while in business. Very strict, but very useful. So let's look at some ways that we can apply this in the workplace. First situation, a thieving friend. You work at a large grocery chain store, and for the past 2 weeks, Every night, the register has been short a few dollars. Only $5 or $6, not too much. Since no one has seen anything, and your boss trusts all of you, he thinks that it might just be the machine, and makes an appointment to have it fixed. Then, later that evening, you see your work friend, who recently had a baby, slip money out of the register and into his pocket. What do you do? Utilitarian ethics would say, do nothing. Your friend is taking a very small amount of money from a very large chain, and his family will likely benefit more than the business is to hurt. Machiavellian ethics would say, do nothing. Your friend is simply trying to provide for his family, and since he has good intentions for the money, the ends justify the means. Deontologist ethics would say, turn him in. It does not matter why he did what he did, or the consequences of his actions. He had a duty to act in the favor of the absolute good, and he failed to do so. And by you not turning him in, you are also committing a wrong. Now, you may decide for yourself what is morally correct, disregarding all three of these schools of thought. But if you do not turn your friend in, and it is found out that you knew what they had done, you will likely get in trouble as well, possibly even fired. Our second situation is a mix-up in credit. You have a shy but talented coworker who is placed on the same team as you for a new project. You are each delegated your task and you get to work. At the next team meeting, it's obvious your coworker has gone above and beyond with what her tasks were assigned. However, your boss assumed it was your work and immediately began praising you, and you're talking about a promotion. You look over at your coworker who is simply meekly looking down at their shoes. Should you say something or just take the credit? Utilitarian ethics say, yes, you should say something. If your coworker is more talented and hardworking, it would be more beneficial to have more people like her higher up. Machiavellian ethics would say, no, the gain of power is a just action, and even to do so by deceitful methods is right and proper. Deontologist ethics would say, yes, you should say something. You are duty-bound to seek what is right and just, as well as act as though you are setting an example for the rest of the universe. If you do not speak up here and are found out later, you are likely to get in trouble and possibly even fired for taking credit for the work of another. Final situation, hiring practices. In your lifetime career, you are likely to come across some sort of prejudice, either as a victim, a witness, or even a participant. In this situation, you've been hired as a hiring manager and are going in for your first day of training. They are hiring in the marketing division right now. So, you are going to sit in on interviews for the next few days until you get the hang of what they are looking for. In your interviews, you notice that the hiring manager immediately throws out all applications given by women and seems disinterested during their interviews. Should you continue this behavior? As each company is entitled to its own culture, or bring it up to your superior. Utilitarian ethics say you should bring it up to your superior. It would be of benefit to the most amount of people, half the population in fact, if this discrimination would come to an end. Machiavellian ethics would say, it depends. Does the manager have some sort of secondary goal that is being achieved through this practice? Do you benefit from this secondary goal, or do you benefit from this practice? If either of the answers to the question is yes, then no, you should not report the manager to your superior. Deontologist ethics would say, yes, you should report the manager to your superior. What this manager is doing goes against his duty to be unbiased and just. He is diverting from the greatest good and unfairly treating half of humanity. So, why does all of this matter? Business ethics, whether you choose to follow deontology or not, is something that will surround you every day of your career. Regardless of what career path you choose, you will be asked to make ethical and moral decisions, and you must do so wisely, else put your career and reputation at risk, whether or not you think someone is watching. That concludes this presentation.